For the common mortal, war is the ultimate catastrophe, an engine of chaos that devours lives and shatters nations. But for the being who sought to name the squabbles of men were something else entirely. It was a classroom and a forge. And she would lead her followers directly into raging conflicts. A detour that was in truth the destination. And amidst the mud and blood, she could gain the martial experience she craved. And in the middle of this crucible of violence, she would forge the first pillar of her new dynasty. We will find ourselves in a camp tucked away among the secluded corpses of the trees, overlooking the valley scarred by battle, and the air would be thick with the smoke of burning villages. And in the center of the camp, the Unnamed stands over Nastaron, who kneels before her, and the moment is unnervingly serene, in a pocket of stillness in a world of turmoil. The air is alive tonight, and it sings with fear and pain, a perfect atmosphere for a birth. She is ready. Her mortal life has run its course. That eager darkness I saw in her is a thirst that only this gift can quench. My gift, and she will be my first, my child. I am ready, my lady. And the Unnamed would reach out, her hand gently cupping Nastaron's cheek, and her touch would be soft, an expression one of her characteristics of shyness, as if embarrassed by the intimacy of the act. And the outward hesitation makes the moment all the more terrible. It will hurt, and then it will be over, and everything will begin again. And she would lean in. The embrace would be swift, brutal, and possessively intimate. And when it is done, she lays Nastaron's lifeless body on a prepared shroud. For a long moment, she simply looks, examining her work. And then she opens a vein in her own wrist and lets the ancient blood fall onto Nastaron's lips. And the transformation is immediate and violent. Nastaron's body convulses, and her eyes will snap open, now burning with a crimson light. And she gasps, a creature born of its raw first breath, like that of a newborn. The embrace is a horrific sacrament, a fusion of murder and creation, and in that moment Nastaron the mortal had died, and Nastaron the child of a Bali progenitor was born into the endless night, and her education, however, had just begun. They sit by the fire as the war grinds on, and the Unnamed is trying to tutor her first child. With books of history and salvaged by from forgotten libraries, they were spread around. The Unnamed would be, of course, in frustration. This is difficult. I try to teach her of the Canaanite races, of the great jihad, and of the history that is her birthright, but the words are like shapes in smoke. I know them, but I do not know them. The memories are not here. How can I teach a past I cannot fully remember? This weakness is galling. She points to a passage in a book, Nastaron. Her new vampiric senses make her a cool, terrifyingly quick study. This speaks of the Ventru as kings, but this other text calls them usurpers. Which is true? Who holds the power now? And of course, the Unnamed would hesitate, a blank space in her memory. She would avert the gaze, the shy mannerisms returning to mask her inadequacy. Power is a matter of perspective and will. We will not concern ourselves with the history of others. We will write our own. And this struggle to teach revealed the depth of her own affliction, and every lesson for her child was a painful reminder of the void in her own mind, and the stress of it would gnaw at her, and it would be constant and irritating. But her focus was broken by a sudden cry from the edge of the camp. Ah! A skirmish had broken out, and one of the Unnamed's followers stumbled back into the camp, his arm bleeding profusely from the gash of a sword. And he would collapse, groaning, as two of his comrades would rush to pick him up. And the Unnamed would turn her head slowly, her eyes fixing on the wounded man, her expression blank but her eternal monologue low in a dangerous hiss. That is mine. That soldier, that life, and that blood, it belongs to me. I had plans for him. He was a useful piece, some witless mortal with a sharpened piece of iron dare to damage my toys? They do not get to decide when my toys break. I do. No one else. And this cold proprietary anger was her only response to the suffering of her flock. They were not her people, they were her toys, assets. And this particular asset was badly damaged, and the camp's ability to treat such wounds were limited. And in this mundane crises, it would lead to the next great discovery on her path. And she would find herself lurking around the massive field tent, serving as a hospital for one of the mortal armies. And in this scene from hell, we would see rows of wounded and dying men. But in the center of this chaos was a point of absolute calm and focus. An elderly man by the name of Ab Al-Latif Al-Baghdadi. He would move from patient to patient with a preternatural skill of speed and skill. And his name was whispered throughout the camp with a reverence usually reserved for saints. Ab Al-Latif was a physician, philosopher, and a historian of such profound genius that even Saladin himself had been his patron. And now in his twilight years he served in the theater of war, and his knowledge was but a bulwark against the tide of death. The Unnamed would be hooded and cloaked in the shadows, watching him. And she had came to seek a healer for her follower, but she found something more infinitely valuable. She watched as Al-Latif diagnosed a complex ailment with a mere glance, and stitched wounds that should be fatal, and calm a dying man with a quiet, philosophical wisdom. And her mind would begin to race. The earlier frustration will be replaced by the exhilarating thrill of a new discovery, of a new prize, and a toy better than any other. Look at him. The knowledge in that mind, centuries of medicine, philosophy, history, the workings of the soul and the body. He is a living library, a key. And he is old. He will die soon, and all of that will turn to dust. And that would be unacceptable. I need him. I need him. That mind must be preserved, and it must be made eternal. And it must be made mine. He will be the next. He will be my physician, my historian, my second child. He will fill the gaps in my knowledge, and he will help me remember. The lands of the Middle East was a clux mixture of shifting allegiances, both mortal and canine. And the territory that the Unnamed now traversed, by the strange and tangled laws of vampiric succession, was under the domain of her nephew, the nominal head of the despised House Bali. Though he was the official master of the dynasty, his power was fractured and contested here. And in here, the children of the Cain played their games of jihad with a ferocity sharpened by a millennia of hatred. This was a land where the Ashira, the greatest council of Islamic vampires, held sway, and where rogue clans like the Bali were hunted with extreme prejudice. To exist here was to live with a knife at one's back. We find ourselves with the Unnamed, who was able to arrange a meeting with Ab Al-Latif Baghdadi. No guards, no followers. Only the two of them amidst the crumbling stones. and she had shed her commander's authority and donned her cloak of shyness, and she would sit on a fallen pillar and look at the ground, a picture of non-threatening deference. You sought me out, not for medicine, but for discourse, a strange request from one such as you. And she would lean in closer, forcing the learned man to lean, because she spoke in a whisper. You are a man who has dedicated his life to knowledge, to understanding the body, the soul, the very nature of existence. You have looked upon the face of death 1,000 times, and I wish to ask what you have learned. I have learned that all things end, that the body is a fragile machine, and the mind, for all its brilliance, is a candle flame that is inevitably snuffed out, and time is the great enemy of knowledge. I will die, and the questions I have yet to answer will die with me. It is the great tragedy of a scholar's life. The unnamed would finally look up, her eyes meeting his, and in their depths he did not see a monster, but an enigma of impossible scope. What if it were not so? What if the candle did not have to go out? He sees it. Her voice and her thoughts silken, of course, the core of her deceitful nature. That great work, that is what I am to him, a living paradox, an ancient text whose pages are blank, waiting to be filled. His mortal mind yearns to solve the puzzle of my existence. He is already mine. He simply needs to admit it himself. Immortality? A child's dream. Is it? Or is it merely the next great frontier of study? I am a creature of immense age, yet my mind is a ruin. I have forgotten more than you have ever learned. I am a library whose catalogs had been burned. I need a librarian, someone to help me put my books back on the shelves, someone to help me read them. The offer hangs in the air. It is not a promise of power, wealth, or dark glory, but a promise of time, of endless research, and for a man like Abd al-Latif, it is the most seductive promise imaginable. To study you, to unlock the secrets of your condition, and to have an eternity to pursue the great questions. It is a temptation beyond any I have ever received, or could even conceive. And the price is merely the end of one's life and the beginning of another, a small cost for infinite knowledge. And in a perfect meeting of the minds, this pact was sealed not by threats or coercion, but by a mutual hunger. He would yearn to solve the mysteries of her existence, a task that would have been cut short by the cruel finality of mortal time. And she yearned for the keys to unlock her own mind. The embrace that followed was not an act of violence, but a quiet, solemn transfer. And the philosopher's flames was not extinguished, it was placed within a lantern of eternal night. And back at the main camp, the unnamed will present her new child to the first. And Nastaran stands, with her arms crossed and her expression a mask of cold neutrality. And Abd al-Latif, now pale and crimson-eyed, regard her with the academic curiosity, and the air crackles with unspoken rivalry. And in old Nastaran's thoughts, an old man, a dusty scholar, this is who my sire adds to our ranks. I am a warrior. I am the future of this order, and he is a relic. But the blood sings in him. He is of my house now, my brother, my rival. And of course, Ab had different thoughts as well in his own mind. The first child, so young, so full of fire and unrefined potential. She is a sword, sharp and deadly, but I am the mind that will guide the hand that the sword holds. Her loyalty is born of passion, mine is born of intellect, and we shall see which my sire values more. And then this cold clash without any kind of words. The Unnamed would watch over them, and her shy demeanor was a perfect screen for her cold, sadistic satisfaction. Good. The competition begins already. In a quiet war fought with whisper counsels and silent deeds, they both strive to be the favored one, the number one. And this rivalry will push them. It will make them stronger, sharper, more useful to me. A beautiful, delicate mechanism. And this new fragile court was a triangle of ambition, intellect, and warrior zeal. And it was a thing of immense potential, but it was also a secret that was nearly impossible to keep. And in the close confines of the camp, there were always eyes and ears. And later that night, we would find a man by the name of Adil, who was composing a song. A charming man whose silver tongue earned him a place in the camp, and the Unnamed, in a quiet conversation with her two childers nearby, would open to a very horrific moment for Adil. And Ab would speak first. The process of the embrace is fascinating. My physical form has been renewed, but the humors of the blood are entirely alien. To truly understand it, I would need to experiment. Understanding is secondary to mastery, old one, said Nostaron. The beast must be tamed, not dissected. You think too much. It is a flaw. And you, child, feel too much. Passion is a fire that can easily consume the hearth it is meant to warm. And of course, as they debate, the Unnamed would notice a breach in the masquerade. Maybe Nostaron's fangs elongated in her irritation, or Ab Alatif subtly used a vampiric discipline to emphasize a point. A small slip, but Adil saw it. And his song falters as his eyes go wide with terror and disbelief. He has seen the impossible. By God! They are not humans. Monsters. He would scramble to his feet, trying to get away quickly to flee. But the Unnamed already seen this discovery, and her expression does not change, but she remains placid, even shy. But her eyes are as cold and as final as the tomb. A breach, a witness. He knows and he will tell others, and the silence of the blood has been violated. This cannot be allowed. The masquerade is paramount, and my quest cannot proceed if the world knows what I am. He must be cut, this loose thread. She makes a soft and almost imperceptible gesture with her hand, and Nostaron, ever the warrior, tenses, ready to spring, but the Unnamed shakes her head slightly. This is my task. And in the world of Canaanites, there is no greater sin than revealing the truth to mortals. And the punishment is absolute and final. And the Unnamed, protective of her new court, and on the secrecy on which her very survival depended, rose to her feet. And she would approach the terrified troubadour, her movements silent and graceful. She would look at him with the expression of profound pity, and her shy demeanor making her seem almost apologetic. Such a lovely voice, such a beautiful songs of love and chivalry, it is a shame they must end. And this kill was not a thing of rage, but a swift, sadistic execution. In one moment, Adil was alive, his heart hammering with terror. The next, his lifeless form sinking to the ground, and his blood drained to preserve the silence. The Unnamed would stand over the body, a single drop of blood on her lip, her face a mask of sorrowful necessity. It was a perfect deception. And she would turn to her two childers, who had watched in motionless silence, and her eyes would convey the brutal lesson more effectively than any words could. Let them see. Let them understand. This is the price of our existence. This is the ruthlessness that is required. There is no room for error. There is no mercy for those who threaten our secrets. And this is the first and last lesson of my new house. The road to rediscovering oneself is never straight. It is a treacherous path through a wilderness of hardship, where the weak and unlucky are shed like autumn leaves. And the Unnamed's journey north was a brutal education in this truth. Her company was once a respectable size, but it was whittled down by the merciless realities of the world. Men lost to freak deserts, snowstorms, to the biting cold of the mountains, and to simple mundane accidents. And each loss was a splinter in the mind of their leader. And we would see many of her followers fail and fall, disappearing. And many bodies would later be discovered frozen on the mountain pass. The mountains did this. The cold. An inanimate thing dared to take what was mine. It is an insult and a violation of the order. My order. And when I am whole again, I will find a way to make the very stones of this world answer for their insolence. And it was not grief that she felt, but a deep proprietary rage. And her followers were pieces arranged on a board, and the world, it seemed, kept knocking them over. And it was during this long, bleak journey that she revealed a strange and dangerous affinity, a fascination with the one element that should have been her ultimate terror: fire. The company, of course, would come upon a village where a large storehouse was ablaze. Villagers panicking, unable to get close to the inferno, and her followers would instinctively pull back, their nature screaming at them to fear from the heat. But the Unnamed stops, her face bathed in the orange glow, and she seemed mesmerized. The sun, a small temporary sun, it is beautiful. It does not judge, it simply consumes. The mortals feel it, my children fear it, but I fear its warmth. It is a caress from a lover I can never truly embrace. And it is a chance to feel for a moment something other than the cold of the grave. And before her followers can react, she would glide towards the burning building, moving with a preternatural understanding of the blaze, finding paths through the flames. Her movements a ghostly dance with destruction. She had somehow acquired knowledge of the flames and how it breathes and moves, and this flirtation with her own annihilation was a way to feel alive and reconnect with the sun that she was eternally denied. And to terrified onlookers, she was a specter of mercy, a ghost who swooped in the inferno and began pulling out injured mortals from the collapsing structure. They saw a hero, a saint. They could not see the truth. Let them call me a hero. Let them build stories around this. Reputation is a tool like any other, but for me, this is simply a moment to stand close to the fire, to feel its kiss, and not be consumed, a necessary indulgence. Weeks later, the Order would finally arrive at its destination, the entrance of a vast cave system in the heart of the desert, and the location of a supposed treasure. They descend from the, of course, dark and sunlit world into the damp darkness of the earth, and their quest now took them deep underground, leaving the world of men behind for the realm of stone and silence. And it was here they found him. Not a monster or a guardian, but a young boy defiant and proud, who had somehow made this subterranean labyrinth his home. It was a massive cavern dominated by ancient, awe-inspiring systems of canals, and the waters would flow silently through the dark. Welcome, mistress, to my very own palace. You have come far, but this is my kingdom. And suddenly the boy coughs. A deep, rattling sound, and he would sway on his feet, and the Unnamed would notice something her followers do not. The air would be thin, and a faint acrid smell hangs in it. Deeper in the tunnels, an orange glow flickers. Fire? Down here? A forge, volcano? A natural vent, maybe. The enclosed space, the air is being poisoned, and he is breathing the ghosts of the flame, carbon monoxide. He is dying and he doesn't even know it. Of course, the boy stumbles, his defiance fading, replaced by a weary confusion. He is being slowly suffocated by the invisible byproducts of the fire he lives beside. He is a master of this place and he knows its secrets. He is the key to the treasure and his death would be an inconvenience. Stay behind, child, she would utter. And then leaving behind her astonished childers, she would move deeper into the tunnels, leaving the boy behind towards the source of the glow. She would find an ancient, long-abandoned fire, a forge where the coal seems to burn stubbornly, endlessly pumping its poison in the enclosed caves. And once again she moved towards the fire that should have been her bane. But this was not a flirtation, but a strategic intervention. And she understood the fire needed to breathe, and that by controlling its breath, she could control its life. And using her inhumane strength and speed, she would move the rubble to block the long sealed ventilation shafts leading to the surface. An act of engineering born of impossible ancient knowledge. Fresh air would begin to pour into the caverns, clearing the toxic haze, and the fire, now properly ventilated, burned clearer than ever as its poisons drawned up. And she will return to the main cavern to find the boy breathing deeply, and the color returning to his face. And he would look at her not with defiance, but with a stunned, fearful reverence. She had not attacked him, but had saved him from an enemy he couldn't see, and she had tamed the fire that was killing him. And she would lean towards the young boy with a whisper that would echo in the vast chamber. Your palace was becoming your tomb, and I have tidied it up. Now, you will show me its secrets, all of them, and in return I will allow you to continue living in it. And the boy was utterly cowed by this being who commanded the very air and flirted with flames. He could only nod. And in that moment, she had not found the treasurer of golds and jewels, but a new base and a new loyal subject, all through the unique act of violent, possessive mercy. And as we conclude this chapter, the Unnamed was a master of contradiction, and a creature of darkness who could wear any guise, and a being who was drawn to the warmth of the flame. And she would build her foundation at court, bound by her blood and awe, and it would secure a sanctuary to launch the next phase of her quest, to hunt for her own name. And the board, of course, was set, though with fewer pieces, stronger than ever, and the game would begin in earnest.